Now, one of the big questions is, well, why did the dinosaurs die? Well, there's actually a list of over 100 different reasons. Some of them are serious, and some of them are just kind of silly. Some said that there was a big change in the weather, and they just froze to death. Others said, well, they just didn't have enough to eat, and they died of hunger. Others say, well, it was just the opposite. They ate way too much. They died from overeating. One of the other theories is that what happened was that they ate some rotten food, died of a case of indigestion. Then there's the idea that what happened was there was a meteorite bombardment, and from that they were wiped out. One of the more popular theories is that there was a giant meteorite that fell in the area of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, and with that was a tremendous wave that went out that eliminated the dinosaurs.
Finally, something we can probably work with, but I fear that Mr. Pendleton has something up his sleeve of his fake lab coat of his own.
Well, we wanted to get in on this opinion-making thing too of what killed the dinosaurs, and so we've got our theory. We think this is what caused their extinction. They were smoking.
Ugh, bloody hell, you gotta be joking. Fortunately, he is. Unfortunately, now he's being serious.
Now, there's one reason missing from that list. And guess what? It's the right answer. What does our authority tell us? Our authority, the Bible, tells us that there was a worldwide flood that covered the whole earth above the highest mountains of that time.
The Bible does say that, yes. But let's look at the science instead of making an argument from personal incredulity. So, is there evidence that a comet had struck the Earth 65 million years ago? Yes. But in order to understand that evidence, we first have to understand the cenote. So, what is a cenote? A cenote is a natural pool found primarily on the peninsula of Yucatan, but is also present in the Guatemalan Petén district. The difference between the Yucatan cenote and the Petén cenote is that latter is rather a basin and is referred to as a guada, whereas the other is linked to an underwater tunnel system. The word cenote is derived from the Mayatan word tso'not, meaning holy well. Sometimes it's also spelled as tsonot or tso'not with ts. Many cenotes lead to gigantic underwater caverns. In some areas, they're high enough to possibly accommodate the Lincoln or Jefferson Memorial. Or Nephilim-Free's ego, for that matter.
I'm a geocentrist. I believe the universe is spinning around the Earth. It's completely crazy, I know, that's true.
Originally, the word cenote simply described the visible pool as seen from the land, but today it is also used to describe the tunnels that lead from one cenote to the other, or even out into the ocean. Now, how do cenotes actually form? Well, before the ice ages, much of the tunnel system had been dry. Then, as the polar ice caps melted, the water from these caps was pushed into the tunnel systems. The majority of the landscape on Yucatan is limestone, a very porous stone type. Since there have been at least 40 ice ages, more and more of the stone cap was eroded away until it finally collapsed. By the time people began settling in these parts, the tunnels were already filled with water, and became the main source of water supply during the drought season. And here again, the entire sequence. So what does this have to do with the comet theory? As we can see in these two images, the majority of cenotes are arranged in a rather curious semicircle, here highlighted by a dashed line. This oddity is part of a large subterranean formation known as the Chicxulub crater. On this height map, we can clearly see that the semicircle on land is actually part of a large full circle, which extends far out into the Gulf of Mexico. Note the smaller circle within the larger one, and, interestingly enough, the land around it is much higher than the area around it, or around the larger outer circle. Now why would that be? Was God in a good mood when he created the earth on the first day? Or is this formation entirely consistent with what we should expect from a comet crater, and thus consistent with the theory of a comet crashing into the area of modern-day Yucatan? This is a computer model, based on the previously shown height map. Here, the crater formation can be seen even better. What we also see is that the thrust focus is on the eastern and northern part of the crater. We see that the eastern part of the seafloor has been violently uplifted, caused by the collision of the comet with the Earth's crust. Looking at this image, in which the outlines of the Yucatan Peninsula have been dubbed over the computer model, we see that the semicircle of cenotes lies directly on the slope of the outer edge. This in turn might explain why some of the caves and tunnels lead directly into the ocean. However, the mapping and research of these tunnels is still in its infancy. Further study is still needed.
And so what? What happened to the dinosaurs? Well, those that weren't on the ark, they drowned. Those that weren't on the ark, they drowned. They drowned.
You've got to be insane.